Welcome to the 7th episode of the Python tutorial series. Today we will discuss some more advanced indexing techniques. In episode 5, we discussed some basic indexing, so let's give that a quick review before we move on. To get the nth element in a series, use the name of the list, a set of square brackets, and the value n-1. Remember that normal indexing goes from 0 upwards. If you instead want to index a series from the last element backwards, use negative numbers starting from -1. Let's use this list as an example. If we want to isolate the first element, we use the index 0. If we instead want to isolate the last element, we can use the index -1. I can hear you thinking, what if I want to isolate more than one element in a series? Well, this is where more advanced indexing techniques are required. Let's see some different cases of group indexing. Let's start with simple group indexing. Given a list A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then if we want to isolate the group C, D, and E, all we have to do is write list1 of 2:5, where list1 is the name of the list, 2 is the index of the first element we want to isolate, and 5 is the index of the last element we want to isolate plus 1. Remember, this last index has to be 1 more than the last index we want to isolate. Similarly, if given the same list, we want to isolate all the elements up until the end, then all we have to do is write list1 of 2:. In other words, we keep the list name, the index of the first element we want to isolate, and we drop the last index. If given the same list, we want to isolate all the elements up until a certain limit, for example, A, B, C, D, then all we write is list1:4, where list1 is again the name of the list, and 4 is the last index of the element we want to isolate plus 1. Now let's move on to more complex indexing techniques. If we want to isolate only the elements with an even index, how would we do that? Well, we would write list1:2, where in this case list1, as usual, is the name of the list. The double colon indicates that we want to consider the entire list, and 2 indicates that the elements we isolate within it will have a step of 2 between them. In this case, 0, 2, 4, and 6. So in this case, the list goes from being A, B, C, D, E, F, G to being A, C, E, G. But what if, given the same list, we want to isolate the odd elements instead? Well, the syntax is very similar to before. All we do is write list1, 1:2, where list1 is again the name of the list, and this time 1 followed by 2 colons means we want to consider the entire list starting from the second element. And we know it's the second element because it has an index of 1. As usual, 2 is the step, meaning that the indexes between each element will have a step of 2. So in this case, the resulting list will go from being A, B, C, D, E, F, G to being simply B, D, F. Now let's move on to even more complex indexing techniques. What if we want to isolate, given the same list, only the even elements, but in reverse order? Well, again, there is a very simple way of doing that. We write list1, -2. So again, list1 is the name of the list. The double colon means we are considering the entire list. And a negative step means that we start from the end and each index will be subtracted by 2. So the indices in this case will be 6, 4, 2, 0, resulting in the list being GECA. Now, for those of you who followed until the end, here's a bonus tip for automatically reversing an entire list. Given our usual list from A to G, I'm sure that if you think about it, you could actually already do this on your own. Write in the comments what you think is the correct way to reverse an entire list. If you can't figure it out, here's the solution. You write list1 :-1. In this case, list 1 is the name of the list as usual. :" means we are considering the entire list. And -1 indicates we are using a reverse step of -1, which in this case is applied to all the elements in the list in reverse order. Therefore, from our list being A, B, C, D, E, F, G, we now have a list which is completely reversed and is now G, F, E, D, C, B, A. This brings us to the end of this episode. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. In the next episode, we will finally be writing our first full piece of code. So make sure to like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any upcoming videos.